Hello everyone. In this entire series of lectures, we'll try to take up this particular subject called concrete technology and we'll try to understand them one by one. So in the module 1, we'll try to see what is cement, how is the cement manufacturing process, then what are the steps to reduce the carbon footprint, what do you mean by hydration of cement, what are the types of cement, and all the basic things that is required. We'll be trying to cover it in the module 1. In the module 2, we'll jump to the manufacturing of the concrete. What is workability? What are the factors affecting the workability? Then what do you mean by segregation? What is bleeding? What are the different workability tests that we need to do at the site? And then also we'll see how the manufacturing of concrete is done. We'll try to understand what is curing, what are the different types of curing, and so on. So in the module 3, we'll try to see the hardened properties of the concrete, like what are the factors affecting the strength, what is water cement ratio, the maturity concept, then the creep and the other things. And in the module 4, we'll understand the concept of mixed design with and without admixtures, how to do a concrete mixed design and so on. And finally, in the module 5, it is all about ready mix concrete, how it is manufactured, then what are the properties, what are the advantages, disadvantages, and so on. We'll also try to see different types of concrete like self-compacting concrete, lightweight concrete, high performance concrete, and so on, right? So to begin with, we'll quickly try to understand the basics of civil engineering before we understand what is concrete technology. We all know what is cement, right? So it is a binder which binds the coarse aggregate, that is we call it as jelly, and the fine aggregate, that is called as sand. Then coming to the concrete, again it's a mixture of coarse aggregate, the fine aggregate, and the cement. And if you add water to that, that entire mixture, what you're going to get, we call it as a concrete, right? Now, along with that, if you try to add admixtures, even then it is called as a concrete. But admixtures, it depends whether you want to add it or not. In the upcoming lectures, we'll try to see what is admixtures and all. But as of now, this is understood for us that it's a mixture of coarse aggregate, the fine aggregate, cement, and water, and this entire thing will give rise to concrete. So this is how it looks. You can see the cement, the sand. These are the crushed aggregates or the stone chips, what you can call, and you add a water to that. That entire mixture, what you get finally, this is how a concrete is going to look. So the last thing that we need to understand is about the RCC, that stands for reinforced cement concrete. So we know what is cement, we understood what is concrete, right? Now there's one problem with the concrete, that is whenever you try to apply compressive force on that, it is able to resist that force. But when you try to pull the concrete, what is going to happen, there's a tension force acting on that, and we know that the concrete is weak in tension. But whenever we put up a structure, we want our concrete to take both the compressive force as well as the tensile force. Then what do you do with this? So in that case, we make use of something called as RCC, which stand for reinforced cement concrete. In this, what we actually try to do, we try to insert the reinforcing bar into the concrete so that my concrete will become strong in compression. Anyhow, concrete is strong in compression, but the problem was in the tension. So when you try to apply the force on this, the tension forces will be taken by the rebar, that is a reinforcement bar. So this combination is called as RCC. So that is why I've written it here. The process of embedding the reinforcing bar into the concrete to make it strong in tension is called as RCC, right? Yeah. Now coming to the cement thing. We'll try to understand what is cement actually. Yeah. So it's written here that the cement is an artificial hydraulic lime which can set in damp conditions and in also in the water. Now see, in the olden days, we used to make use of a structure from lime and all, right? We had a lime structures and all. So what is the problem with that? The problem with the lime is that it will take long time for us to set, and also the quick setting was not happening, it used to take long time. So then after a lot of research and all, the researchers finally found something called a cement. In that, what we try to do, we make use of lime anyhow, we are going to make use of lime in the cement. Along with that, we try to add certain impurities, right? We try to add certain impurities. So as a result of that, what happened, the quick setting of a lime is to happen. So that is the reason I have written it here. Cement is an artificial hydraulic lime, but artificially we try to add some impurities into the lime so that this become a, see, lime plus impurities. If you try to make, no, this becomes my cement. This becomes my cement. So it is written here, cement is an artificial hydraulic lime which can set in damp conditions and also in the underwater. But if you take only the lime and if you don't add any impurities into the lime, then what used to happen? It used to get set, but it used to take a long time to get set, and also it was very difficult to get set in the damp conditions and all. So we knew all these things. That is why we started to add certain impurities in that, and we'll try to see what are all those impurities. And since we started adding impurities into the lime, this thing became a cement, and that is why we say that cement is an artificial hydraulic lime, right? The second is that cement is defined as a product which is manufactured by burning and crushing to a powder, an intimate and a well proportioned mixture of calcareous and the argillaceous material. Now coming to this calcareous and the argillaceous materials, we'll try to see what are these two different raw materials that we use in the manufacturing of the cement. So calcareous materials are actually the limestone, and argillaceous materials are the clay materials which we try to use. So these two materials we make use of, and then we try to do the burning and all, and then finally the product that we get is called as cement. Now coming to the history of the cement, the first cement was manufactured in the 18th century by a person called Joseph Aspidin, and also called as M. Vicat, and they called it as an ordinary Portland cement. So that is why we call it as OPC cement, right? And coming to the word Portland, so there is a stone available in the England. So based on that, the color of that stone was something gray in color. As a result of that, they told that this is a Portland stone, and that is how the name ordinary Portland cement came into existence. So the most important thing is India is the second largest manufacturer of the cement in the world after the China. And you all have seen that this is how a cement is going to look, which is gray in color. And this is how the bags of the cement are available in the market. So this one bag of cement is usually 50 kg. And at present, the rate of a cement falls in somewhere close to 350 to 370 rupees per bag. 350 to 370 rupees for per bag, right? So this was a overall, understanding of what is cement all about. Now we'll try to go forward again. Now coming to the selections of cement. So there are many types of cements, many brands of cement that is available in the market. Then how do you decide all these things? On basis of what we decide what kind of cement we need to use. The first is the required strength of the concrete structure, right? Let us say you're putting up a small house structure. In that case we don't require a huge strength, so a small, let us say M20 at M20 grade of concrete is enough for us to put up that structure. Let us say you're putting up a huge structures like nuclear power plant and like nuclear power plant, and let us say some other structures which are of great importance. In that case for us strength is important, and then strength what we get is depending on the cement that we are going to use. So in this way the required strength of the cement depends on the concrete structure, what kind of structures you're putting up. Second is also the type of structure. Again, it depends what kind of structures you're putting. It's the same thing, whether it is a very important structure, whether it's a government structure or not. The third is the condition under which the construction of structure is to take place, right? Now it depends where you're constructing this structure, whether it is close to the coastal area. Let me write it here. Whether it is close to the coastal area, or let us say whether it is somewhere in the inside the sea, right? Marine structures and all. So in that case, it depends where exactly you want to put up your structure, and based on that, we need to select the cement, the types of cement and all, right? Yeah. Now coming to the grades of cement, what are the different grades of cement that is available in the market? The first one what we have is 33 grade OPC cement, then we have a 43 grade OPC cement, and then we have a 53 grade OPC cement. You can see it here, it's written 33, 43 and 53. Now coming to the 33, 43 and 53, we'll try to understand what is the practical significance of this 33, 43 and 53 a bit later. As of now, our understanding will be only of grades of cement that is available, that is 33, 43 and 53. And one thing we need to remember, this 33 grade is no longer available in the market. Whatever is available is 43 and also 53. And also in the most of the work that we carry out in our day-to-day work in the construction industry, 53 grade of cement is what we actually use. Even 43 hardly we try to use it, right? So these are the three different grades of cement that is available in the market. Yeah. So next we'll try to see what are the raw materials for the cement that is required. Now, in a simple word, we have seen that cement is nothing but it's just a binder, right? Which binds the coarse aggregate, the fine aggregate. Now, what really makes cement as a binder? What are the different, you know, raw materials that is required for us to prepare the cement? So basically, the two raw materials that is required for us to prepare the cement is one is called as calcareous material, and then we have argillaceous material. So under the calcareous material, limestone is one which is used for the manufacturing of the cement. Along with the limestone, we need to use clay also. Now the question is that why the clay has to be used? Like as like we understood that if you use only the limestone, it becomes a pure lime for us, right? If you use the limestone, it becomes only pure lime. And we already have seen that if you use only the lime, what will happen? Quick setting will not happen. It will take long time for us to set. And we require air setting, that is air is required for us for setting, whereas in the cement you don't require air setting and all. And also it has been found that the initial setting time of the cement is somewhere close to within 1 hour it's going to set. So if I want to make a cement something like that, I need to add certain some other raw materials into that, and that raw material what we're trying to add is clay, and this is nothing but a impurity that we are adding into the limestone. So this limestone plus clay will together form as a cement for me. And these are the raw materials that we are going to take make use of, right? Yeah. So now coming to the what are the different ingredients that is present in the cement. The first one is the lime, which is called as calcium oxide. Then comes the silica. Then comes the alumina. Then comes the iron oxide. Then comes the magnesia. Then comes the sulfates. And then we have the alkalis. So these basic raw ingredients are taken in such proportion so that the basic ingredients can be found. That means my limestone and clay, I'm going to choose in such a way that finally when I try to do the grinding and mixing of all these things, no, I want to get all these ingredients out of these two raw materials. And also along with that, they should try to be within this limit. This is how we try to prepare the cement. You can see the lime should be in 62 to 67%. Then silica should be in 17 to 25%. Alumina should be 3 to 8%. Iron oxide can be from 0.5 to 6%. Magnesia can be 1 to 3%. Sulfates can be 1 to 3%. And alkali should be less than 1%. Then based on the cement, we can try to play with all these things. So basically what we are trying to do now again we have taken lime. So this is lime. And these things what we have now, that is from silica, alumina, iron oxide, magnesia. These are actually impurities. These are actually impurities, and these are there inside the clay. These impurities are actually there in the clay. So basically we are taking lime and impurities, and these impurities are those clays, and in the clay we have this silica, alumina, iron oxide, magnesia, sulfates and all. And these are the proportions that we need to maintain so that we are going to get a proper ingredients in the cement, right? Yeah. So with this understanding, we'll try to go forward. So this is very important for us, that lime, silica, alumina, iron oxide, magnesia and sulfates are the main ingredients that is found in the cement. Now coming to the functions of this. So what are the functions of all these things, right? We have taken lime, we have taken alumina, we have taken silica and all. What actually they are going to do, cement, what actually they are going to do for the cement? We need to understand that. The first is about the lime. So this lime reacts with the other basic ingredients and it leads to the formation of different complex compounds, right? See, lime alone cannot do anything. We already seen that, because alone if you take a lime, it's not going to react with anyone. It will take a long time for the setting. But here what we have done, we have taken lime. Along with the lime we have added silica, alumina, iron oxide, magnesia, sulfates and alkalis, right, in so and so proportion. So what is going to happen, this lime will react in all other basic ingredients like we have seen, and it leads to the formation of different complex compounds. So these complex compounds are responsible for the strength, right? We need strength in the cement, right? The 33 grade, the 43 grade and the 53 grade what we have seen, they're actually the strength, and also the hardness it has to give, right? And then soundness in the cement, that you should not form any crack in the cement. So these complex compounds are responsible for the strength, the hardness, the soundness in the cement. But the main important thing is that provided the lime is in optimum content. That means if you add more lime, what will happen? It will remain like a lime. Again, the quick setting of a cement is not going to happen, right? So the word provided lime is in optimum content is very important, because we already seen that the lime should be in the proportion of 62 to 67%. If we add more and more lime, again it becomes lime only, it doesn't become like a cement, right? So we'll try to see that again. So now the question is that what will happen if you try to add more and more lime, right? So if you try to add more and more lime, what is going to happen? See, let us say I'm taking lime now. I'm taking lime. So if the lime percentage is more, what will happen? Whatever percentage of, if, let us say you have taken more and more percentage of lime, what has happened? Whatever percentage of the lime that is supposed to be reacted with the other basic ingredients, that is going to react. The basic ingredients are like silica, right? This lime will react with silica, lime will react with alumina and all. And whatever lime which is not reacted, what will happen? The moment it gets water, it will start to form this particular reaction, and as a result of that, calcium hydroxide and heat is evolved. Now the question is that from where the water is going to come? See, whatever cement we are going to take, tomorrow we have to use it in the construction, and whenever we want to use it in the construction, we use it in terms of as a concrete. And how a concrete is prepared? We take a cement, we take coarse aggregate, we take fine aggregate, and for that we add water, right? And once you add that water, once you add water to that, what is going to happen? This reaction, that is this lime, what lime? The excess lime, right? What, let us say I'm taking some 80 percentage of the lime for an example. Out of that, let us say 60 percentage of the lime will try to react with the basic ingredients like alumina, silica and all. How much is left out? 20% is left out. There's no other elements, ingredients for the lime to react. So this unreacted lime, whenever you try to add water to that, that is calcium hydroxide is lime, when you try to add water to that, it gives rise to this calcium hydroxide, and this calcium hydroxide along with that heat is evolved. Now what is going to happen? This unreacted lime will try to react with the water, and calcium hydroxide is going to form. So this calcium hydroxide will increase the volume of my concrete. This calcium hydroxide what I have, it is going to increase the volume. So this reaction is called as slaking reaction. This reaction is called as slaking reaction. So what is going to happen? Whenever you try to put a concrete on one side, your concrete is going to get set, and on the other side, what is going to happen? This calcium hydroxide, what will happen? It is going to increase the volume of it, and if the volume increases, what is going to happen? This will lead to cracking, and also the unsoundness. That is, unsoundness of the cement is going to happen as a result of disintegration is going to form all these things. So that is why it's written that the lime, that is the calcium hydroxide, should be in 62 to 67%. So if it is an excess, what is going to happen? The excess lime will try to react with water, and calcium hydroxide is formed. And this calcium hydroxide, what is forming, it is called as slaking, and this will lead to cracking, unsoundness, and disintegration in my cement. Now the question is that what will happen if you don't, if you add less amount of lime? If we add less amount of lime, what will happen? That means impurities are more, right? It's very simple. If you're adding less lime, that means the impurities like silica, aluminum, all those things are more. So the reaction is which is to happen, but the impurities will be more, and this will make the cement weaker, because the strength is actually given from the lime only. And if your lime content itself is less, what will happen? The cement will become weaker, and since the impurities are more, the quick setting of a cement will happen. We already seen that if lime is more, what is going to happen? If lime is more, the setting of a cement will take time, right? Quick setting will not happen. But if the lime is less, that means my impurities are more. If my impurities are more, that means what will happen? The quick setting of a cement is going to happen, and we don't want the quick setting of a cement to happen, right? So that is the reason whenever we try to prepare a cement, we try to proportion the content of the lime in such a percent that it falls between 62 to 67%, right? Yeah. So in the next lecture, we'll try to see what are the significance of the other compounds like alumina. Then we'll also try to see the importance of silica, iron oxide, magnesia, and so on. So we'll see you back in the next lecture. Thank you.